Could one sentence spoken in a trembling voice change the way we view the world's two biggest K-pop stars? Or just open emotional wounds that have been kept tight? The question arose when a broadcast that initially felt ordinary, suddenly turned into a moment of silence that shook the feelings of many people. It's not the cheers that are left behind, it's not the laughter that usually fills the screen. What is left is silence. Jungkook spoke in an unusual tone, a tone that is slow, honest, and sounds fragile. He conveys feelings about pressure, about fear, and about the uncertainty he has felt. So in the middle of his sentence, he said a name, Jimn, not as a joke, not as a light joke, but as an important part of his emotional journey. And on the other side of the screen, Jimn did not react immediately. He's not smiling. It does not interrupt. He just shut up. His eyes lowered for a moment, then looked back at the screen, but still without a word. That moment felt very long. Many viewers felt a tension that was difficult to explain. It was as if they were witnessing something too private for a public space. The silence is not empty. It feels meaningful. Why did Jimn choose silence? The question immediately filled social media. Some fans see it as a form of empathy, make room for Jungkook to convey his feelings without interruption. Others felt that Jimn was surprised. Or it may be touched deeper than it seems, because what Jungkook revealed is not a light thing. It talks about the phases of life, about time, about decisions. It's about honesty with yourself. For many, this sounds like a sign of change, but no concrete plans were mentioned. No date, no projects, just a feeling. It is precisely that vagueness that makes this moment feel powerful. Since their debut, Jungkook and Jimn are known to have a very close bond. They grew up together under the spotlight of the world, share pressures, dreams and long journeys, yet they rarely express that closeness with deep words, usually only through a little laughter, short gaze, and togetherness that feels natural. That's why, when Jungkook finally spoke honestly in public, the impact was twofold. Jimn is known as a very sensitive figure. He is often the guardian of the mood, the one who makes sure everything's okay. This time, however, he did not take on the role. He's not trying to change the mood. He's not trying to entertain. It is only present and listen. In many cultures, silence is the deepest form of empathy, not a sign of indifference, but the sign that emotions are present is too great to be immediately worded. Some fans feel connected to this moment. They see themselves in it, about fatigue, about uncertainty. Growing up in the midst of demands, many people cry just by looking at Jim's expression, without a word, without explanation. Footage of the silence was shared millions of times. Theories are emerging, questions keep coming, but Jungkook and Jimn did not provide any clarification. No statement, no further explanation. And the silence continued. In a fast-paced world full of instant reactions, the choice to be silent feels bold. As if they let the public feel and interpret the moment in their own way. Perhaps this moment is not about big plans. It's not about separation, not about drastic changes. Maybe it's just about honesty, about a young boy who grew up too fast, about a friend who chose to attend without a word, about emotions that are finally given room to breathe. And perhaps, precisely because there is no definitive answer, this moment feels so powerful. Because not everything needs to be explained to have meaning. Sometimes, silence is the most honest language, and that's where Jungkook and Jimn moments will continue to be remembered, not as a momentary sensation, but as one of the most human pieces on their long journey. Behind the grand stage, behind the cheers of the world, there are two human beings who are learning to understand themselves. And after the broadcast ended, the moment did not disappear along with the dark screen. It just started living in the minds of millions of people. Many fans reopen old archives. They're rewatching old interviews, reread the song lyrics, listen to the documentary. Everything is searched again, as if there are small pieces that now feel different meanings. What used to sound normal now sounds deeper. The look that used to be considered light, now feels more meaningful. Some people started asking, has Jungkook actually been carrying this feeling for a long time? Did Jimn already understand the burden he was carrying? Because before, Jungkook had said that he felt he was growing too fast. He once admitted that his childhood was short, but then it was all wrapped in a smile. This time is different. No shields, no distracting laughter, just plain honesty. On the other hand, Jimn is known as a figure who often keeps his own feelings. It is more often a listener, become an amplifier. Be the one to make sure everything is okay, but at that moment, he's not trying to calm down. He's not trying to entertain. It just makes room. And perhaps, that is precisely the most sincere form of caring. Some fans believe Jim's silence was not a Spontaneous reaction. It was as if he knew those words were coming. As if this was not their first conversation about those feelings, but there are also those who feel. Jim really didn't expect Jungkook to be that honest in public, and silence is the safest option, the most sincere option, because in the world of entertainment, one sentence can be misinterpreted. One word can be cut. One reaction could be a headline. Silence becomes protection, and the public keeps asking this about the future of BTS. Is this about a big change, or is it just about fatigue that is finally recognized? No answer. There are only feelings left. Many fans admitted from that moment on, the way they viewed Jungkook and Jim's interactions changed. Be more careful, softer, more empathetic. Every little smile means more, every silence feels deeper. As if all aware, behind the warm togetherness, there is a fragile emotional layer. And perhaps, that's exactly where the power is, because this moment reminds us that behind the stage light, there are humans who are also tired, there are humans who are also afraid, there are people who also need to be heard, and sometimes, what is most needed is not an answer, rather than presence.